Most people think muscle loss is just a natural part of aging, something you can't do much about once you hit your 60s. But here's the truth. While it's common, it's not inevitable. And the difference between slowly losing your ability to climb stairs with ease, carry groceries, or enjoy long walks, versus staying strong and mobile well into your 80s, can often come down to what you put on your plate first at each meal. Research shows that after the age of 60, your body's ability to build and repair muscle declines, not just because of reduced activity, but because of a physiological shift called anabolic resistance. In simple terms, your muscles stop responding as efficiently to the usual triggers for growth, especially dietary protein. A plate of food that was enough to stimulate muscle repair in your 30s may no longer have the same effect in your 60s. And this matters because muscle isn't just about strength. It's a powerful predictor of how well you'll age. Stronger leg muscles are directly linked to better balance, faster walking speed, and even lower risk of cognitive decline. Here's what the research shows. Studies from institutions like McMaster University and the University of Birmingham demonstrate that older adults need a larger and more targeted dose of certain nutrients, especially high-quality protein rich in the amino acid leucine, to effectively switch on muscle-building signals. This means that the order in which you eat your food and the amount and type of protein you consume early in your meal can directly influence how much muscle you preserve over time. If you've ever noticed that a friend in their 70s still hikes mountains, lifts grandchildren with ease, or moves with the energy of someone decades younger, chances are they're unknowingly applying some of these principles. In this talk, we're going to break down the 6 key, science-backed concepts you need to know to protect and even rebuild your leg muscle after 60. You'll learn exactly what to eat first, how much you really need, when to time it, and which simple daily actions will help you stay strong, balanced, and independent for years to come. Because while we can't stop the clock, we can absolutely slow the loss, and in many cases, reverse it. Imagine your muscles are like a construction site. When you were in your 20s, workers were on standby. The moment you dropped off a load of bricks, protein, they'd get right to work building and repairing structures. But after 60, it's as if those workers get a little sluggish. They don't automatically start building when the materials arrive. They need a louder signal, a stronger cue, and more resources at once to get moving. That's essentially what happens with anabolic resistance. Your muscles become less responsive to the normal amount of dietary protein you used to eat. And if you begin a meal with bread, fruit, or even vegetables first, you're essentially delaying the delivery of those crucial building materials. Here's what the research shows. A study from the University of Birmingham found that older adults who consumed a high-protein meal, around 35 grams of high-quality protein, first thing after fasting overnight, had a significantly stronger muscle protein synthesis response than those who delayed protein or ate it in smaller amounts. This is because protein, especially from animal sources or certain plant sources like soy, sends a direct build signal via the mTOR pathway in your muscle cells. The earlier you trigger that signal in a meal, the more of your post-meal metabolic window gets devoted to repair and growth. Why protein first works so well? When you eat protein at the start of a meal, you not only overcome some of that anabolic resistance, but you also help stabilize your blood sugar response to the rest of the food you eat. This keeps your energy steadier and reduces the spike and crash pattern that can leave you feeling tired after meals. Think of it as priming the engine. Once protein digestion starts, your body is in a better state to handle carbohydrates and fats. How much and what kind? For most people over 60, research suggests aiming for 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per main meal, with special attention to the amino acid leucine. More on that in the next section. This might look like 3 scrambled eggs with a side of Greek yogurt, a palm-sized portion of salmon or chicken breast, a plant-based protein shake with pea and rice protein blend. A simple tool to apply is this. At your next meal, whatever is on your plate, start with your protein source. If you have salmon, chicken, beans, or tofu, eat that before the bread, rice, or salad. By front-loading your protein, you ensure your muscles get the signal early, and you'll be much closer to your daily goal for muscle preservation. The compounding effect over time. Small shifts like this matter because muscle loss after 60 happens faster than most people think. roughly 3 to 8% per decade after the age of 30, with an acceleration past 60. By putting protein first at every meal, you create a consistent anabolic signal multiple times a day, which can drastically slow, and in some cases reverse, the loss of leg muscle mass. Have you noticed how some people in their 70s can walk up a steep hill without stopping to catch their breath, while others struggle with just a flight of stairs? That gap often comes down to small daily habits, repeated over decades. Protein-first eating is one of those habits that stacks benefits with each passing week. And if you're worried about making big dietary changes, start small. Even shifting one meal a day to a protein-first approach will begin nudging your muscle metabolism in the right direction. Over weeks and months, those small nudges accumulate into real, tangible strength. If protein is the construction material for your muscles, leucine is the foreman who tells the crew, start building now. It's one of the 9 essential amino acids, meaning your body can't produce it, you have to get it from food. But leucine has a special role. It directly activates the mTOR pathway in muscle tissue, which is the primary biochemical switch for muscle growth and repair. Without enough leucine in a meal, it's like having bricks on the construction site but no one giving the signal to use them. Here's what the research shows. Work from Dr. Donald Lehman at the University of Illinois has consistently demonstrated that muscle protein synthesis in older adults isn't just about total protein, but about hitting a minimum dose of leucine in each meal. For most people over 60, that threshold is around 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal. In practical terms, that usually means 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein at once, because not all protein sources are equally rich in leucine. Why older adults need more. In your 20s and 30s, a smaller amount of leucine can flip the mTOR switch. But as anabolic resistance sets in, your muscles need a louder signal, a higher leucine load to get the same response. This is why simply having a little protein here and there isn't enough after 60. You need to meet that leucine threshold per meal, not just across the day. Foods that hit the leucine mark. Here's a simple way to think about it. Animal sources: 4 ounces of chicken breast, salmon, turkey, lean beef, or eggs plus dairy, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, will usually provide the leucine you need. Plant sources: harder but very possible soy, tofu, tempeh, pea protein powder, seitan, or lentils combined with rice or quinoa. You'll often need larger servings or a blend to hit the target. A relatable example. Let's say you have oatmeal with fruit for breakfast, healthy, sure, but it contains almost no leucine. Now, if you swap to Greek yogurt with berries, or you keep the oatmeal but add a scoop of pea protein powder, suddenly you're giving your muscles the green light to start repair work right after your first meal of the day. A simple tool to apply is this. At each main meal, ask yourself, am I getting at least 30 grams of high-quality protein? If not, either increase your portion or combine sources to hit that leucine threshold. A quick check. For most animal proteins, 1 ounce has about 0.5 to 0.7 grams of leucine, so 4 to 6 ounces will usually get you there. The compounding payoff. When you consistently hit the leucine threshold, you not only slow muscle loss, but you may also increase muscle size and strength even into your 70s and 80s when paired with resistance training. In fact, a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who combined resistance training with leucine-rich protein gained more lean mass and leg strength over 12 weeks than those who trained but didn't optimize their protein for leucine. So leucine isn't just a nutrient. It's the key that starts the engine. Without it, the rest of your protein plan is like pushing a car in neutral. With it, you can shift into drive and actually go somewhere. And if this insight is helping you, consider subscribing, because what we're building here is a science-based toolkit for aging stronger, sharper, and more capable than most people think is possible. You've probably heard the old saying, it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it. When it comes to protecting muscle after 60, this is more than just a nutrition cliché. It's a principle backed by decades of sports science and aging research. Most people in their 60s or beyond tend to eat very little protein at breakfast, a modest amount at lunch, and then a large portion at dinner. That pattern leaves your muscles in what researchers call a subanabolic state for most of the day, in other words, not actively building or repairing. Then, at dinner, you might overload protein in one sitting, but your body can't use it all at once for muscle repair, so some of that muscle-building potential is wasted. Here's what the research shows. A 2014 study from the University of Texas Medical Branch found that evenly distributing protein intake, around 30 to 40 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, resulted in about 25% greater muscle protein synthesis over 24 hours compared to the traditional pattern of low-protein breakfast, medium lunch, high-protein dinner. The takeaway? For older adults, protein timing matters just as much as protein quantity. Why this works? Think of your muscle-building machinery like a light switch. You can flip it on multiple times a day, but leaving it off for long stretches means you're missing opportunities to keep muscle metabolism active. By giving your body enough protein to cross the leucine threshold at each main meal, you're flipping that switch on 3 times instead of once. Over weeks and months, those extra on periods add up to measurable strength gains and slower muscle loss. A practical example. Typical pattern: toast and coffee for breakfast, 5g protein, sandwich for lunch, 15g protein, large steak for dinner, 60g protein. Optimized pattern: omelet with Greek yogurt for breakfast, 35g protein, grilled chicken salad for lunch, 35g protein, salmon with vegetables and quinoa for dinner, 35g protein. Same total daily protein, completely different results for your muscles. A simple tool to apply is this. Aim to hit your leucine threshold, 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein at each main meal. Avoid saving all your protein for one big dinner. If your mornings are rushed, a protein shake or overnight oats with added protein powder is a fast way to hit your breakfast target. Why athletes do this and why you should too. Elite athletes already spread their protein throughout the day because they understand the importance of keeping muscle-building pathways active. The same principle applies to aging adults, except instead of aiming for peak performance in a sport, you're aiming for peak performance in life. Walking confidently, climbing stairs without fatigue, and staying independent for decades. The hidden benefit. Even energy levels improve when you spread protein intake. Protein helps regulate blood sugar and maintain satiety, so you're less likely to experience the post-lunch slump or afternoon cravings that can lead to overeating. So, timing your protein isn't about micromanaging your meals. It's about giving your muscles multiple opportunities to grow stronger every single day. And the beautiful part is, once this becomes your normal eating rhythm, you'll notice the difference not just in your legs, but in your overall vitality. Imagine trying to grow a garden. You could give the plants the richest soil in the world. That's your protein. But without sunlight and water, they'll never thrive. For your muscles, resistance training is that sunlight and water. Without it, even the best diet can only slow muscle loss, not truly reverse it. Here's what the research shows. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed older adults who were either eating high-quality protein without exercise or eating the same protein while also doing resistance training twice a week. The group that combined both gained nearly twice as much lean muscle and strength compared to the diet-only group. The reason? Exercise creates mechanical tension in your muscle fibers, essentially microscopic damage, which signals your body to repair and rebuild them stronger. When you add protein rich in leucine soon after that workout, you give your body the raw materials and the biochemical green light to maximize repair. The effect is far greater than either stimulus alone. Why this is especially important for legs after 60. Your leg muscles, quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves are the foundation of mobility. They determine how easily you can rise from a chair, climb stairs, or prevent a fall. But these muscles are also among the first to weaken with age, a phenomenon called sarcopenia. The combination of targeted leg resistance work and timely protein intake can not only halt that decline but also rebuild strength that many people assume is lost forever. A simple, science-backed protocol. Resistance first, twice to 3 times per week. Perform exercises that challenge your legs. Chair stands or squats. Step-ups. Resistance band leg presses. Light dumbbell deadlifts. Even 15 minutes can be enough to send the build muscle signal. Protein within 1 to 2 hours. After your workout, aim for 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein. This is when your muscles are most sensitive to the anabolic effects of leucine. Rest and repeat. Recovery is where growth happens. Alternate intense days with lighter activity like walking or stretching. A relatable example. Think of protein and resistance training as two keys you need to turn at the same time to start the engine. One key alone might make the dashboard lights flicker, but nothing happens until both are engaged. The habit-building advantage. When you pair a protein meal with a workout, you create a natural anchor for consistency. For instance, if you always have a protein shake after your Tuesday and Thursday strength sessions, it becomes automatic, no decision fatigue, no skipping. And if you find value in tools like this, make sure you join our community. These conversations can change the way you age. We're building not just stronger bodies here, but stronger habits so you can enjoy decades of active living. The beauty is, you don't need to be in a gym 6 days a week or lift heavy weights. What matters most is regular, progressive challenge to your muscles, paired with the nutrition to rebuild them. Over time, the compounding benefits will be visible, not just in muscle size and strength, but in confidence, posture, and energy. Protein may be the headline act in muscle preservation, but even the best lead singer needs a supporting band. Micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and certain fats are the behind-the-scenes crew that keep your muscle machinery running smoothly. Without them, your muscle-building orchestra can fall out of tune, no matter how much protein you eat. Here's what the research shows. Several studies in journals like Nutrients and the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle highlight that deficiencies in key nutrients can impair muscle contraction, slow recovery, and increase inflammation, all of which accelerate muscle loss with age. Let's break down the big players. Vitamin D supports muscle strength by aiding calcium absorption and influencing muscle cell function. Low vitamin D is linked to reduced leg strength and higher fall risk in older adults. Sources: sunlight exposure, fatty fish like salmon, fortified dairy, or plant milks. Tool: get your vitamin D levels checked at your next physical. Aim for 800 to 2000 IU daily if deficient, under medical guidance. Calcium: critical for muscle contraction and bone strength, both vital for leg stability. Sources: dairy, fortified plant milks, leafy greens, almonds. Magnesium plays a role in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those involved in muscle relaxation and energy production. Sources: nuts, seeds, spinach, whole grains. B vitamins, especially B12 and folate, essential for nerve function and red blood cell production, which carry oxygen to your muscles. Sources: meat, eggs, dairy, nutritional yeast, fortified cereals. Omega-3 fatty acids. Here's where the science gets especially interesting. Omega-3s, particularly EPA and DHA from fish oil, can actually enhance muscle protein synthesis. A 2011 study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults supplementing with omega-3s increased muscle size and strength, even without changing their exercise routine. Mechanism: omega-3s reduce inflammation that can interfere with muscle repair and make muscle cells more sensitive to anabolic signals. Sources: fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, flax seeds, walnuts, algae oil for plant-based diets. How to put this into practice? Include a serving of fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week or consider an omega-3 supplement. Check with your doctor first. Build meals around nutrient-dense whole foods, not just protein sources. Consider a daily multivitamin as insurance if your diet is inconsistent, though food should remain the primary source. Why this matters for your legs. Think of your leg muscles like high-performance engines. Protein is the fuel, but micronutrients are the lubricants, spark plugs, and cooling system. Without them, the engine runs rough, overheats, or stalls. And here's the kicker: micronutrient sufficiency doesn't just preserve muscle. It also supports your nervous system, balance, and coordination, which means fewer falls and better mobility as you age. When you combine the right nutrients with protein and resistance training, you're essentially covering every angle, providing the signal to grow, the raw materials to build, and the supportive environment for that growth to stick. When most people think about preserving muscle after 60, they focus on appearance or physical strength. But there's a deeper, less obvious benefit. Your muscles are one of the most powerful protectors of your brain and your independence. Here's what the research shows. Studies from the British Journal of Sports Medicine and Harvard's Rush Memory and Aging Project have found strong correlations between leg strength and cognitive performance in older adults. Those with greater leg muscle mass and power not only walked faster but also scored higher on memory and problem-solving tests over time. In fact, in one study, leg strength at baseline predicted brain health a decade later, even after accounting for education, lifestyle, and cardiovascular health. Why the connection exists. Your leg muscles are not just passive tissue. They're metabolically active, producing hormones and proteins called myokines during contraction. Myokines travel through the bloodstream, cross into the brain, and help reduce inflammation, stimulate the growth of new neurons, and improve the health of existing brain cells. Put simply, stronger legs, more movement, more myokines, and better blood flow to the brain. Better blood flow and neurochemical support sharper thinking, better memory, and more emotional stability. The independence factor. Mobility is one of the strongest predictors of whether you'll be able to live independently as you age. Leg muscle strength is central to this. Weak legs make simple tasks, getting out of a chair, climbing stairs, even carrying groceries, more difficult. Over time, reduced activity leads to more muscle loss, a higher risk of falls, and a faster decline in overall health. A fall in your 70s or 80s is more than just an injury risk. It can set off a cascade of health problems, from reduced mobility to isolation to cognitive decline. Protecting leg strength is like putting a shield around your future self. A simple tool to apply is this. Twice a week, do a short, functional strength circuit, focused on legs and balance. Chair stands. Stand up and sit down without using hands. Step-ups onto a stable platform. Calf raises. Single leg balance holds. 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise, 2 to 3 rounds. Combine this with the protein-first, leucine-focused, nutrient-rich eating strategies we've already covered. The compounding effect on life. When you maintain strong legs, you're not just preserving muscle, you're preserving options. The option to travel, to dance at a family wedding, to play with grandchildren, to live in your own home without constant assistance. And because your brain benefits as much as your body, you're also giving yourself the best chance at a sharp, engaged mind well into your later decades. This is why I often say, your legs are your independence account. Every rep, every protein-rich meal, every micronutrient you get is a deposit into that account. The more you invest now, the more freedom you'll have to spend later. Now that we've covered all 6 core concepts, the conclusion will bring them together, reinforcing the science, the practical tools, and the deeper why behind taking action now. We've covered a lot of ground today, and if you're over 60, I want you to walk away with this truth. You do not have to accept slow decline as a given. Your brain, your muscles, your joints, and even your mood can stay sharp, strong, and resilient well into later life, if you feed them the right way. We started by looking at collagen powders, protein shakes, and multivitamins, the big 3 that dominate the supplement industry. And we learned that while they're popular, they often miss key cofactors, come in poorly absorbed forms, or simply don't address the digestive and metabolic changes that happen as we age. Instead, we focused on 3 natural, science-backed drinks that work with your biology, not against it. Fortified bone broth, giving your body the full collagen-building kit, complete with vitamin C, minerals, and anti-inflammatory compounds. Enzyme-rich protein drink, optimizing amino acid delivery by combining digestible proteins with natural enzymes from fresh fruit. Citrus berry infusion, delivering vitamins and polyphenol in their natural, bioavailable forms, while hydrating and supporting vascular health. We explored how hydration acts as the delivery truck for all these nutrients, how the compounds inside these drinks tune your neurotransmitters and hormones, and how to turn them into a ritual you actually stick with. And here's why this matters. Every sip is a signal. To your muscles, stay strong. To your brain, stay sharp. To your cells, keep repairing. Over time, these signals compound, creating a body and mind that feel more capable, more energetic, and more alive. Now, the key is not just knowing, it's doing. So here's my challenge to you. Start tomorrow. Choose one of these drinks, prepare it in advance, and anchor it to a habit you already do. Feel the difference it makes, then layer in the others over the next few weeks. If you've been nodding along today, that's not just agreement. That's your brain recognizing a strategy that works. So act on it. You're not too late, you're not too old, and you're certainly not done. And if you want to keep building a toolkit for a stronger brain and body, join this community. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with which drink you'll start with, and like this video so more people can find it. This isn't just about health. It's about staying in the game, fully engaged, for as long as you can. Because the truth is, life doesn't slow down after 60, unless you let it. And with the right tools, you can feel better in the years ahead than you did a decade ago. The choice is yours, and it starts with your next sip.